In this video we're going to do a quick run through of the Emu Web CRM. I'll start off just by logging in, and if I've got access to more than one database, you'll see a list of them here that I can select. Just for this demo I have access to one. I'll select that and in we go. Now we're starting off with a blank database, which is a pretty sad state for a CRM to be completely empty. So the first thing we're going to do is demonstrate connecting up to Xero and get some data in here. So in order to do that, we'll just bring up the menu over here. And down at the bottom we've got our admin section. We'll go into connections and we'll see a list of things here that we can connect to. Xero is the one we want. So we'll jump on here and hit the activate button, and we'll go and authorize ourselves with Xero. So I'll hit the authorize button and we'll be redirected across to the Xero website. So I shall punch in my secret username and password. Xero have turned on two-factor authentication, so I'll grab the authentication code as well. Okay, so we've done the initial authorization. It's brought us back and it's letting us choose which of the companies we want to connect with. We're going to connect up with a demo company. We'll just confirm that and hit the connect button. So what happens now is it will connect up to Xero and it'll start sucking the data into Emu CRM. It does it reasonably quickly. It's a two-stage process, and at no point during this is your accounting system updated. So this is just going to suck down, first of all of the data from Xero into some temporary location in the CRM. And then once that's done, we'll transfer across and convert the data and link it all up. So you can see here in this list, it's actually pulling in quite a bit of data from Xero. First step's already done. So quite a bit of data is coming in. We're not using all of it right now, but in future as we expand the product, you can see we have purchase orders and credit notes and payments. Those things will be utilized later on. So the first step's done, and now I'll hit the Start Import button. And so what that's now going to do is start the conversion process from the data we've downloaded from Xero and pop that into the Emu CRM. And hopefully that'll happen in just a few moments, and the data will be converted, and then we can go have a look. Wow, okay, so that's nice and quick. So going to the company record, we can see a whole list of companies here. We're able to filter these companies to search and find them. So we can view them on a map. We can see details of the company. We can see contacts and people who work at the different companies. We can see in the sales area invoices, and these have come through in full resolution, so you'll see all of the line items that are present. So we've imported our data from Xero, and we've had a little bit of a look at it already in the demo. But what I wanted to just do now is just show you another one of the things that's really quite nice in the CRM. So I'll start off by navigating to the company tab. And this is absolutely fantastic if you're a rep and you're planning visits around the place. You can see here we're showing little pins on the map that correspond to customer locations. So I'm going to just zoom in a little on Sydney. And as we get in, things uncluster. And you can see that we've got three distinct pins for three distinct clients that we have in the Sydney region. And what we can do is we can use this to help plan our trip or our work day. So if I move my mouse over, I'll get a pop-up. It'll identify the customer. I can click it to hold the pin open, and I've got two options. I can either get driving directions to the customer with that little navigation icon, that'll just use Google, or I can edit. I can bring up another customer, see the details, and there we are. What I'm able to do, depending on the data that we've got in here, is colorize the data differently and filter it. So I don't have any filters defined at the moment for companies, but I do have some colorizations defined. So I could hide, for example, things that are at the opportunities. Now all of these are just defined as other, and they're not really defined as anything at the moment. That could easily be remedied by going in and editing them. But have a look at this. What we'll do is we'll click on the calendar, and this will bring up my calendar. And then what we'll do is we'll say, for example, choose Tuesday morning. And I'll drag this basket case company on here. Let's say we're having a 9 o'clock start. So that will create a meeting inside the CRM with this company. And now I have that highlighted. And let's see who else I could go and see. So let's go and see these guys out here. And it's telling me that I need to meet 52 minutes after. I can't meet any earlier than 20 past 10. So I could drag that one on there now. And that's just using Google. It is taking into account as well the time of day and day of week, because you'll get dramatically different results with your navigation if you're going around Sydney at 2 o'clock in the morning versus going around Sydney at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If I wanted to sort of fit somebody in between, I can still click on this guy here, highlight him, mouse over, and it'll tell me an hour and 16 minutes to get to him. Or highlight here and recalculate an hour and 13 minutes from that one, so sometime after midday. So I'll probably make that around about 1:30, a little bit of time for lunch. So that's a really easy way of planning your visits around if you're not particularly familiar with an area, or even if you are. One of the things we'll be able to do in future is filter these things using this little filter here. We could define filters, so you could say people you have or have not seen within certain times, people who've spent or haven't spent money with you within certain times, just to make it easier to find your way around. So we can see a list of companies. If we go down to our selling section, we can see invoices have also come in as well. We'll drop down to the admin section and we'll take a look, and we can see here all of our products have all come in straight across from Xero. So I could go and click that product there. We can see it was imported today. If I wanted to import it again, I can hit the button. Same if I want to export it, that'll just push the data to and from Xero as I require. Everything else works the same way, for example. So if I roll back up here to company and just go and open one of them up, I'll just go and find that one, bring it up. If I wanted that to go across to Xero, I can just hit the export button and away it goes. So here's our basic company record. We've got some data in from Xero, and now we can start thinking a little bit about CRM. So one of the things that we have in CRM is the ability to go and add notes. So I can hit the button here and I'm able to add some rich notes. They can be bold, underline, italic, all of the above. We can pop images and links in them, and when we save them they appear on the little timeline view here. Anything that we're doing with this customer is going to appear on that timeline view. So for example, if I make myself a to-do item, I can say do something. Tasks don't actually need a date, but so I'll leave that blank. It's an idea, it's not started, it's with us. I'm able to pop some notes in. Again, rich notes, save that off. That's going to appear on the right hand side. That appears here on the right hand side as an undated task. If I had a meeting, let's say that was going to be this afternoon, from 4 until 4:30, perfect. I can drag and drop that here, move that around wherever it needs to go, pick another date. So let's say, for example, we'll make that Monday morning at 10 o'clock. I can then save that meeting off, and that will appear in the upcoming activity section just over here, next week planned activity. And we can see now on this customer, the next activity that we have is a Monday morning meeting. For things that have occurred in the past, which we don't have much of in this demo database, that would appear here. So I could simulate this, for example, if I go and pop in another meeting, and I'll just say previous meeting. What I could do is I could actually say, well, let's say that came in at 3:45 and it finished at 4. We might just get that to squeak into the timeline because it's already started. And there we see there's the previous meeting. So we can see that over time that's going to build up with notes and things like that. We can see here, because we've imported this record from Xero, we've got some invoice data there as well, and we can start to build up more and more capabilities as we go. So let's think about what we might want to use this for now to get some use out of it. So if I go into the general section, we have this whole area here for company information. So let's just call it the demo company, and we'll put in Tall Emu's phone number and fax, don't have one of those, crikey, address, www.tallemucrm.com, 83 York Street. So we'll go pop that address in. I'll make up a fake ABN and we'll just leave that be. Australian dollar, our financial year starts in July. Speech recognition language is going to be English, and I'll just pull up company logo and we'll just save that. So now we've got some basic data in here. We're able to go and start to make some use of things. So what I'll do is we'll go into quote settings. First of all, this is quite nice. We'll make a new quote template and we'll just call this the standard template, which we will use by default. Grab the logo, and you can see on the right hand side we have a little bit of a preview of how this quote might look. So let's configure it up. So our buttons, we probably want the accept button to be green. For our highlights, you can see we've pulled these colors out of this logo. So for my highlight color, I'll choose that one there. Ugh, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll choose that. Maybe I'll choose that. That's a bit better. And the background, I'll choose that dark sort of blue. So we get a quote that looks reasonably okay with that logo. We can choose fonts, we can choose the layout, how it's going to be. So we'll just stick with that one for now, and I can have left, center, right alignment. I'll just stick with left. So there we go. Now I have a little quote template set up. I've connected up to Xero. So what I could do is go and make a quote. So I'll go into my sales area. We can see at the moment there are no quotes there. So new quote. Okay, so let's make a quote. We'll pick Bob, lucky first. We'll set the delivery and valid dates. We can choose whether or not we're going to show prices incorrect tax. Ordinarily, if you're quoting to end customers, individuals, you'll show Inc. If you're quoting to businesses, you'll show them X. So we've defaulted to X. We've got our template and this lovely little Can Accept Online button here, which I'll show you soon. We've automatically pulled in the shipping address. We can override this, of course, so if we've got little typos and things like that, they could be corrected. And now down here we can start to actually generate our quote. So that's pulled in the product from Xero, which is quite nice, and I can add multiple items to my quote. So a 3-pack and a single. I'm able to also do things like add subtotals, or pop things into groups, or add comments. But one of my favourite things is freight. So we're going to get these golf balls from our location in Sydney to the customer's delivery location in Bayview. We're assuming we're going to send it today, but of course we can go and override that. And what I can do is I can go in here, so golf balls, they're going to probably go in a bag, and it's probably going to be one of those 20 by 20, let's say it's 5 centimeters high and it weighs half a kilo. There's one of those. We can fetch up some freight prices. It'll come back and give us the best option, which looks like Star Trek. This is just test data. Save that freight quote. So now I've got the freight item logged in. I've separately saved the freight quote that we obtained from Star Trek, and it's been cross-referenced. and I have a very, very simple quote here. So I'll save that. While it's saving, it's going to save the consignment, the quote and everything, line it all up. Alright, so here's our quote. Quote number 1 for Bayside Club to Bob. I can see the items down here, including a subtotal and including a freight quote. We've got the LinkedIn freight quote there, which we could go and have a look at a little bit later on. Timeline, nothing's really happened with this quote yet, we've just generated it, but what we can have a little look at is view as customer. So when we view a quote as a customer, it's going to pull in the colors that we selected earlier, the logo we selected earlier, all of the information that we entered in about our company and the customers all going to show up, and here we have our quote. So the idea is we're able to go and email that to the customer. The customer's going to receive that quote. They have the option to either accept it online or to go and ask a comment. So for example, is this freight included? So the customer can submit a question or a comment which would appear underneath the quote. And what will happen in a moment or so is I'll receive an email that'll basically say the customer has left a comment on this quote, and I'll have the opportunity to answer it. So I've not got my email running while I do the demo, so I don't get distracted. I'll jump in here, and now I'll have a little look on the timeline. So we would have seen the alert come in from the customer. And we can see here feedback from the customer is freight included. So I could actually add the answer straight away, and I could say and save that off. And now if I go back over here and hit the refresh button, we can see that the little Q&A that we had is there. So the customer now would be able, with this quote, to accept the quote, put in the purchase order number, if any, sign the quote, and accept the order. So that now is going to update CRM straight away to say that that order's been accepted. It's also going to go and email the salesperson and say, hey, Bob's accepted that quote, well done. So what we'll now see when we go back into CRM is that this quote has been accepted. So we can go convert that quote across to a sales order, and from a sales order we could then go and convert that quote across to an invoice. So we have now an invoice. What I may just do actually is, if I go back to Bayside Club, just there via the hyperlink, I can look at the quote that I've got against it, quote number 1, could open it up. So it's quite easy to navigate around just by clicking on things like company name or people. We can see here our quote. What I could also do is preview this quote as a PDF, and we can see here that the quote's come up. It's got all of our company details on here, demo company and so on, the quote number, and we've got the customer's name, so we can actually see we've got a nice signed accepted quote there. And if we did want to email that to the customer, then it's as easy as just hitting the buy email button. I didn't do that because it's just going to go to this example.org email address. It's not really going to go anywhere. So back to Bayside Club. So I can look at it and look at it from a customer perspective and look in here for invoices to Bayside, or I'm able to go and have a look at it looking for invoices in a list like that. Doesn't really matter which way I decide to do it. So I'll just go back inside here and we'll open up that invoice that I just made. Again, we could preview the invoice. This is unpaid, so it'll show up as an invoice. If it was paid, it'll show up as a tax receipt. You can see we've got our subtotals and our text and our freight. I can just get rid of that and go, and we can see if we look in freight quotes, we actually have a summary of all of the freight quotes, how many items, it's a bag, the sizing and so on. So we keep a copy of all of that data in there as well. And yeah, that's great. So we've got an invoice, we've sent the invoice, we've sent the order, we've sent the invoice. It'd be really, really nice if the customer was able to pay this, and in fact they can. What we can do is we can jump down and have a look here at our connection list, and if we scroll down we can activate our Easy Debit connection. So what I'll do is I'll fill this in, demo company, demo code. So this is what appears in the disclaimers and things that you need to sign, and I'll just pop in our account details. I'm going to hide these so you won't actually see these details, so we're not supposed to share them. And what we'll do is we'll hit the test button. It'll connect out to Easy Debit and validate that everything's all good, or tell me I've made a horrible mistake. Because there are fees and charges, I need to hit the download and save fees button. So there's different fees for different credit cards or payment methods, and we actually have to disclose to the customer what those fees are. So it's important that we actually download those as part of the setup process of Easy Debit. So I'll just get that out of the way, and then we can go back in and have a look. Right. So let's go back to our company list. One of the nice things about Easy Debit is it's PCI compliant. It'll support credit cards, it'll support direct debit, and it'll support BPay, and we're going to be supporting all of those. So let's open up Bayside Club, and we can see here now that the Easy Debit icon, because the Easy Debit integration's been turned on, that's available. It's saying we're not registered for Easy Debit. So to set up a customer for Easy Debit, all we need to do, just like we did with Xero before, click on that icon, we'll hit the register button. And it's going to prompt us for a credit card number in this case. If we'd enabled direct debit, we'd also be able to put bank details in here, but I don't have that turned on the demo account. So we'll pop in a credit card number. For anybody worrying, that's a fake credit card number. Don't go on a spending spree, it's not going to work. We can put in the expiry date and test phase, and you can see here it's telling us there's a 2.2% fee on this card. Now, also by agreeing, we're authorizing Easy Debit to debit payments from the credit card, and Easy Demo Co. So this is the data we filled in before, will appear as the merchant on the statement. Again, just with these fees, these are just example fees. This is just a test account, so we'll save that. And basically that credit card now will be securely set up on the Bayside Club account. The card's there. We can't see that card number now ever again. It's PCI compliant, and the card number's not even stored in Emu CRM. It's all stored across in Easy Debit, and there's just a little cross-reference called a token between the two. But we can actually charge that credit card. So what we can now do, now that we're connected, is make a payment. There's an invoice. Tick the button. It works out the fees, and we should tell the customer what the fees are. So it's a Visa 2.2%. And we hit the charge credit card button. That's going to go to Easy Debit now, and it's going to hit that credit card for us. Just take a second or so. It comes back in real time. Credit card payment looks like it was successful, and we can see down here payment 42 was created on the 26th of April by me. So that is in the narrative. If it failed for any reason, for example insufficient funds, we would actually log a failed payment in that narrative as well, so you can see what's going on. And if we go over here and look in our sales area into payments, we can see, there we go, P42, Bayside Club, there it is, there's the money that we've taken. One of the things we want to do with the CRM is to try and connect it to the business systems that you use in your business every day. We want to try and make CRM the tool that you use all day, but we do want to integrate it to other platforms that you use so we can share data, stop redundant data entry, wasted time, wasted effort, rekeying, all of that sort of stuff. But also try and make data from one system useful in another. So what I'll do is I'll quickly show you how to go and set up some connections inside CRM. So we'll scroll down to the admin menu and we'll jump on connections. Now we're already connected to Xero. We've already pulled in some Xero data. You can only have one accounting system activated at a time, so I won't show you my account right live at this point, but it works in exactly the same way as Xero, and I'll probably make a video about that another time. By default, email is going to work out of the box, and it's going to come from Tall Emu. Email address is customers@tallemu.com. So you can straight away log in and send email. If you want to have email coming from your own email domain, you'll need to contact your IT people, whoever looks after it, and you'll need to activate the SMTP service. So you hit the activate button, you fill in the details, hit the test button to make sure it works, and then finish, and you're done. And then the email will all work from your system. Our CRM also has the ability to send SMS messages, and you can probably guess who we use, Burst SMS. So you can sign up for a Burst SMS account. They have nice cheap SMS messages. They're Australian based. It's a theme with what we're trying to do, work with Australian companies. And it's reliable because they work all on net. So Burst SMS is very, very easy to sign up. Once you've got the account, you go in and you get your details. And basically all you need to do is just punch in a couple of bits and pieces. So we punch in the API key, which I'll need to hide because I'm not telling you what my API key is. And we'll punch in the API secret, which I'll also hide. And then the caller ID, which I'll say is Tall Emu. Hit the test button. Let's see what we get. Test connection successful. We've now got Burst SMS set up in Tall Emu, and we can go and send those messages. Campaign Monitor is an email marketing platform. Most people would have heard of MailChimp over Campaign Monitor, so I'll talk about MailChimp and I'll connect to MailChimp. But MailChimp and Campaign Monitor both work the same way. They both do very similar things in that you can make lists of people and send them email blasts and then pull those results back into CRM. So if you have a MailChimp account, you need to go into MailChimp, find your API key, and once you found your API key, hit activate. Real easy to activate MailChimp. All we need to do is grab up our API key from MailChimp, pop it into the API, from name, so where's it going to come from? So I'll say sales team or Mike. From email, we'll say sales@tallemu.com. And then the permission reminder is just a default. So why, you always see at the bottom of the email, you're receiving this email because, usually we'd like you to buy something. You're receiving this email because you registered with our company. You could say you signed up for our list. And then we hit the test button. Always hit the test button to make sure it works. It'll connect out to MailChimp, verify that the data that I've put in is all correct. All done, pull back my details, hit finish. Now what we're going to do with MailChimp is pull down the data. So if I've already got some data in MailChimp, and I do have a little bit of data in MailChimp, just some test data, what it's going to do is pull down all of my marketing lists that I have and all of the people who are on those lists. So we'll just let that process run for a moment or two. So it's going to pull down my lists, and it's going to pull down all of the contacts on my lists as well.